Ladies and gentlemen, it is here. Update 1.21 for Modern Warfare is officially live. It went live late last night at like 2 in the morning my time. It might be different your time, but it is live as of right now. And it's kind of weird because we're kind of used to either having updates live late Tuesday nights, in the middle of days Tuesday nights. Never really first thing Tuesday morning, but here we are. The update is now live. And in today's video, we are going to be going over everything in this update, and it's a big one. It's a meaty one. It is thick with 3 Cs. This update's about 20 gigs on PS4 and 30 on PC and Xbox. And if you're a free-to-play player, it might be a little bit smaller than that, but there is a lot of stuff in here. So in this video today, we are going to go over everything that was added in this update in multiplayer, in Warzone, and on top of that in the store and everything else that they added as well. And like I said, it's quite a bit. And as per usual, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be playing everything new that we're talking about today over on Twitch. If you want to check out the live stream, it is the first link down in the description, and hopefully I see you there later tonight. Also, I was recently looking at my analytics and saw that only 16% of people who normally watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you like staying up to date on everything Call of Duty, like what you see on the channel, the best way to stay up to date is by hitting that subscribe button, turning on notifications, and in doing so, you'll also be joining me on that road to 750,000 subs, which we are right around the corner from. So as I mentioned, this update is freaking huge. There's a lot we have to talk about today, including weapon buffs and nerfs and all of that kind of stuff. But I think a good place to start is with Warzone, because not only was Warzone as a mode updated, but on top of that, the Warzone Easter egg was also updated. One of the first things I noticed when playing is that the phones that are found throughout the map now ring, and if you interact with them, they do this. So there's some beeping in what seems like Morse code, and then a Russian man saying something that I can't understand because I don't speak Russian. Now, of course, I will cover this more in future videos. But on top of this, there is more. At the very end of the patch notes, there was something added that isn't normally in the Infinity Ward patch notes. And it says this: number station redacted is protocol yellow. Activate redacted system. Redacted is inbound, awaiting correct authorization. Now, if you've followed the channel for a while, you'll know that this statement has to do with the bunkers around the map. And in fact, some people have found different colored key cards that correspond to different bunkers. And someone has actually already found key cards and been able to open the bunkers with them. Now, I can't show it to you here because I didn't actually do it. I don't want to steal their gameplay. It was FaZe Dirty that actually did this for the very first time. But in the future, I will have a video going more in depth with this. But this is just one of many things that has changed in Warzone today. So the next thing that is new to Warzone is called an armor crate, and it is basically exactly the same as a munitions crate, but it is blue, and instead of containing ammo, it contains armor. Now you can find these on the ground, in crates, but you can also buy them at BuyZone for $6,000. And these are, in my opinion, one of the best things that you can now buy. Essentially, you throw it on the ground, and it immediately refills your entire team's armor. All they got to do is go over it, pick up some armor, and it completely refills their armor, which is an absolutely massive asset in this game. Another new feature is that they have added new weapons into the gulag. So instead of just getting pistols, shotguns, and that kind of thing, you can now get assault rifles and SMGs. And all of the weapons that you can get in the gulag include the Kilo 141, the M4, AK-47, M13, SCAR, Ram 7, MP5, AUG, P90, and Striker 45. And it seems like every time you get one of these, they actually have no attachments on them, just the base weapon. And I like this. It's a good change to the game, and this way I'm not just getting the 357 Magnum over and over and over again. So another new thing is that they have added some new ground weapons to the game. They include an epic AX-50, legendary Kilo 141, epic FAL, legendary MP7, and an epic AUG. Now these are all weapons that were already being able to be found on the ground. This time time, they just have different attachments than the ones that were previously there. They also re-added Most Wanted contracts to the game without removing any bounties. This is a contract that if you pick up, it basically reveals your team to the entire enemies on the entire map, and after you survive, your team can fully respawn and you are given a bunch of money. These contracts have also had a time reduction from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, so if you pick them up, you only have to survive for 3 minutes, not 5 like you previously had to. The final two changes are, first of all, the final circle in Battle Royale now moves. So kind of like Fortnite, how if there's a couple teams left in that final circle, instead of that final circle just closing and closing and closing, it now closes to a point and then starts moving to various locations to make the teams have to move so they can't just camp and sit and wait for the other person to do something, which I think is an interesting idea. We'll have to wait to see how this one plays out. And then finally, the RPG got a little bit of a nerf. So their wording of this is they reduced the RPG kill radius for players with full armor. So seemingly a very small nerf to the RPG. Personally, from the amount that I've played after this update, it is not enough. I've already got killed 3 times to a single rocket, still having full armor. So I personally think this is something that needs a little bit more tuning, but hey, I guess it's a start at least. Now, looking at the Warzone playlist today, you have BR solos, trios, quads, and once again, blood money quads. Really nothing special here. We were supposed to be getting classic battle royale, which is basically battle royale, but with no loadouts, no buy zones, no respawning, but that's not there yet. So assumably that'll come later this week, probably on Friday. Next, moving over to the store items, the first thing we have is a new operator pack for Ghost. This one is called the Contingency Pack, and this one you get the classic OG Ghost skin, and honestly, this is probably my favorite skin currently in the game. Just gives me those Modern Warfare 2 vibes. On top of this, you get 2 weapon blueprints with this one. First of all, the Ghostly Premonitions, which is an assault rifle blueprint. On top of that, the Draugr, which is a pistol blueprint. After this, you move into the normal things that you get. First of all, you get some Shades, which is a weapon charm. On top of this, you get a new melee weapon called the Ghost Dance, which is just a new version of the knife. On top of that, you get a finishing move, which is very similar to some finishing moves that we've already seen within the game. On top of this, an operator equip called Cheers for Ghost, and that's pretty much it. You get calling card emblem, the normal stuff as well. Now, there was also supposed to be a Call of Duty endowment pack called Fearless added this week, but it is currently not there, at least as of making this video. I'm assuming it will either be added later today or maybe later this week on Friday when Classic Battle Royale is added. Moving over to the multiplayer side of things, the first thing you're going to notice is Gunfight Blueprints is once again added back into the game. Similarly, Reinfected Ground War with some new changes as well. I'm not going to go over all of those new changes. You'll see them pretty quickly if you play the game mode. On top of that, there is a new game mode called Cleanup on Aisle 9. This includes the new gunfight map, which is called Aisle 9, which is actually a pretty large 2v2 gunfight map. It's going to be a pretty slow map within gunfight, but as far as this game mode, it's actually 3v3, which includes team deathmatch, domination, kill confirmed, your normal game modes, and it plays pretty damn quickly. It's a weird map because it's much bigger than you'd think for a gunfight map, but at the same time, it's still an extremely, extremely small map. So let me know what you think of this one down in the comments, because to me, it's a little bit weird. And then finally, we have Hard Hat 24/7. They have finally added in Hard Hat, which is of course a remake map from Modern Warfare 3. It is literally almost identical to Hard Hat from Modern Warfare 3. The main difference is of course the physical differences, which is just the way it looks, the lighting, everything like that. And of course, they've added in doors in a couple areas on the map. Honestly, it was weird playing this map. It was a whole bunch of nostalgia all at once. I'm glad that they added it in, and once again, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this one down in the comments. Now, on top of all of this, there are some pretty big weapon changes in the game. I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as possible. First of all, the Renetti got a nerf. It got reduced max ammo reserves. On top of that, the MK3 burst mod had a significant hib spread increase. On top of this, the MK3 burst mod, small decrease to the overall damage, which is a big nerf if you're using the Akimbo Renettis with the burst fire. On top of that, reduced damage when Akimboed and MK3 burst mod are both equipped. So a really big nerf, like I was saying. On top of this, we have a buff to the FAL. Decreased aim down sights time so you can snap onto target a little bit faster. Similarly with the Scar, they got decreased aim down sights time. Assumingly, these are two of the least used weapons in the game, so they're trying to make them a little bit better so more people will use them. Now, across the board with LMGs, they lowered the ammo count for reload warning on belt-fed LMGs. In other words, it will turn red later with less ammo capacity. I think this is needed because this would pretty much start to go off like halfway through a magazine, which is a little bit silly. The second thing across the board is with sniper rifles, they reduced the penalty for holding your breath too long with a sniper scope. Assumably, this one was mainly for Warzone, but if you hold your breath for too long, you won't be penalized nearly as much. After this, the VLK Rogue, one of the newer shotguns in the game, got an increased rate of fire, increased close damage range for 12 gauge, and finally increased damage range for the 6-inch revolt barrel. This is a pretty big buff for this weapon. This might be a little bit more viable now, but clearly a very big buff here. But the biggest buff, by far the biggest buff, goes to the Holger. So the Holger 26 gets increased move speed, improved aim down sights time, and a slight recoil reduction. And when they say slight recoil reduction, they basically halved the recoil on this weapon. On top of that, they buffed a bunch of attachments on the Holger as well. These attachments are only changed on the Holger, not on other weapons. So first of all, the FTAC Spitfire barrel got improved aim down sights time, faster move speed, and reduced hip spread, so big buff there. The ultralight barrel gets improved aim down sights time. The 30 round mags gets reduced sprint out time, improved aim down sights time, faster movement, and improved hip spread. Then not using a stock gives you increased sprint out time, faster movement, reduced hip spread, and improved aim down sights time. And finally, the stippled grip has an even greater improved aim down sights time. This is a massive, massive buff to the Holger, and when using the right attachments, this is going to be an interesting weapon now, because it might actually be a viable weapon in both multiplayer and Warzone. This is one of the biggest buffs we've ever seen for an individual weapon in a game ever. So I'm curious to see how good this actually is once we actually build up a loadout and see how it actually plays. But literally one of the biggest buffs ever to a weapon. Now, the final new thing we have is in Spec Ops, and as you're going to see, they've added some modifiers to some individual Spec Ops missions. And for completing them, you get some in-game items, even some weapon blueprints, but some of them are very hard. Like, as you see, this one is on Veteran. Other ones just change the spawn rates of enemies and what enemies actually spawn. And this surprised me because I kind of thought they were done with Spec Ops, but it appears as though they are still putting stuff into the game. And ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it. That is everything that they've added in Update 1.21, and it is a really, really big one. Of course, I didn't cover everything like the little bug fixes, so if you want to read the entire patch notes, as always, I link them down in the description if you want to read through them. I just covered everything major in this video, and there's some pretty big things, and I think some pretty big things that we're going to find out in Warzone with that Easter egg that I was talking about. Of course, when we do figure that all out, I'll let you guys know in videos, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know what you think of all of this down in the comments. And as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, peace out.
Listen!